Yeah, sorry about that, Dave. I know it was a little loud. I had it turned up. I apologize. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Freeman Files on the J Free 906 podcast. And as always, Tom Burns in the writing shotgun with me. How you doing tonight, Tom?
Hello, hello. Very good, very good, very good. Balmy
Yeah,
minus
what is it?
balmy -5 today.
It got up to, I think it got up to 58 today here. 58
Oh,
degrees. It
geez,
was cloudy though. It
You're
was,
breaking my
yeah.
heart over here. Yeah.
I know. Sorry. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for coming to the show tonight. We appreciate it very much. We are going to be talking about The Curse of Oak Island, Season 12, Episode number 8, which I think was called A Bead on the Target. A Bead on the Target.
Yep.
Okay.
A beat
Yeah.
on.
So, yeah, we're going to get into it tonight. We got some really fun things to talk about with all this, what they were doing in the swamp and everything, and the eye. That's what I used for tonight's thumbnail, the eye of the swamp, because I know that Jack Campbell and I, we have high hopes for the swamp, and I still believe that the swamp holds a lot of secrets. And I'd love to see them dig deeper into that eye. I don't know. I don't know about you, Tom, but I'm something about the eye of the swamp is just
There's something going on. Something happened in the swamp. And we know something happened in the swamp for the simple reason that they need to go get special permits now.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Before the swamp was kind of wide open. There was one little area.
Mhm.
Initially they cordoned off down by the stone road. You couldn't go there.
Yep.
And then there was an area up around by the eye of the swamp that was kind of, let's call it sacred for lack of a better term.
Yep.
But now the whole thing is that whole section of the island is, you notice that we need permits,
Yeah. I
and they had
know.
to
I saw
permit
that.
individual specific sections.
Mhm.
Right, it was not a blanket permit for the whole area. So
Yep.
there's history there. We just need to know what it is.
Exactly. So, yeah, we're going to dig into all of that tonight. And again, folks, I'd like to say if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that very much. And click on that notification bell so you know right when we have new content out for the day. Yes, drain the swamp, Wayne. I agree with it. Keep it drained all the time. The eye is where it's at, says Mary. Yep, I agree. So click on that notification bell so you know when we got new content coming out. Like when sometimes I'm going to start taking little clips of some of our shows and different things, and I'll put those up like I did the other day. Put that little clip up there, and that did really well. Something that Tom and I were talking about that I thought was pertinent. So, getting people to watch an hour and a half to 2 hour video on YouTube after the fact when it's not live is they're not going to stay. Jeff is a lot louder than Tom. Oh, sorry about that. Maybe I need to back away a little. I'll turn
There,
that
my
down a
mic
little.
might be.
Sorry about that. I'll try to keep that uh,
There we
going.
go.
I
How's that?
also have.
Sound all right, everyone? We okay now?
I hope so. Hope so. I'll back away a little bit. Yeah, you can see I repositioned, and I am looking up. You'll see me looking up. I'm actually using another monitor, a TV up there. So you'll see me looking up from time to time, and that is where I have Rumble. And for those of you who might be watching on Rumble, if you have any comments to make, I am watching the chat over there as well. So you can go ahead and let me know, and I will try to include you in the show tonight as well as all the many people we have here tonight. So. I wanted to also just mention about the website again. Sherry Boudreau, she did the redid my website, and thankfully because the one I had done myself earlier on was terrible, just awful. And she is the one that she also we had her on the podcast, and a while back she wrote a book called The Treasure Kids. The Oak Island Treasure Kids was really good, and we talked about that. And she also did Carmen Legg's website, if you haven't been out there. And I wanted to show a little bit about the website here, just real quick. Again, this is the main page. You see the About, podcast, voiceover work, and merchandise. I do have pricing on the merchandise now. If you want to help support the show, that's one of the ways you can do it. We appreciate that very much. The different podcasts that we do here, listed here. And then some of the other great podcasts to check out is down here. And you'll see we got Jim McQuiston and Doc Hamill's on there. We got Carmen's on there. We got Jim Kelgard and Roger. We got theirs on here. We got the Bacon, the Ghosts of Bacon on here as well. Good stuff. I'll be adding more as we go along, so you can check those out. And also, we've got the contest, and that's this little cipher you see down here. I wanted to show this. What I fixed it. It was not getting big enough. So what I did was that you can hover over it with your mouse, click on it, and now it gets bigger so you can see it a little better. see if you can help to solve the cipher. The first one that solves the cipher is going to get some free merch. We're going to send some stuff out. Thank you, Lorraine. I appreciate that very much. And also blog. We're going to have different people blogging on here, me as well. So let me go back to the main page here. You'll see there's some in the news, things like that coming up. And then there's a blog section where myself and others, maybe some theorists, maybe some folks from the show might add a little tidbit of their information on here in the blog. So check that out when you get a chance and see if you can solve that cipher.
It's all
That
kinds of stuff. Yep.
was created by our good friend, yeah, right there. Yep,
Cheat
Jake
notes.
Roberts.
These are my cheat notes.
Yeah, yeah, and it is a cipher. So if you read his books, you should know you'll be able to figure
Or
out
you could just tune into his every second
his
Sunday night. I think
podcast. Yeah,
is
every
a
other
podcast
Sunday.
every
Yeah.
second Sunday or so, and he gives you lots of cool stuff to learn about ciphers. So
Yes, yes, he does. So he's a good friend of the show. We like him a lot. So yeah, check him out and check out those different podcasts if you get a chance. Good stuff out there that we enjoy to do. Yeah. Well, I got to get permission. Add links to dot. I can. Oak Island Research. Carolyn, I'll definitely ask those guys if they want to. I got to ask them first if they even want to be part of it, and if they do, I'll be glad to add them on here for sure. So. For tonight's giveaway, we've got a couple of different things. We'll do that here in just a little while, and they are a hat, one of Carmen Legg. Speaking of Carmen Legg, Legg blacksmithing hat, and also his book, Like a Fella Says. So we'll give away those. We'll do that here in a little bit, and we'll explain that as we go along as well. So lots of good, fun stuff to do. So let's jump into it. You ready, Tom? What do you think?
let's go.
All right. So, Curse of Oak Island, like I said, episode number 8, a bead on the target. The guys start off in the money pit, like they do quite often. In this picture, I grabbed this one here because it gives you a kind of a good overview of where they are drilling at the moment. They are working on a particular spot, which is D.25 6.75. I know we love those things a lot, don't we? Those numbering system. But we also noticed that I don't know if he's getting paid for his ad endorsements. Do you think
Starting to look that way, isn't it?
Mike Telford?
Every show, every different scene, like it's always in the same spot. So
And
I don't know.
he doesn't seem to have a preference.
That's the price you pay for watching these shows 2 or 3 times. Little things.
You start to notice all these little things, He's got a Klein Tools on the side of his hat right here. You can see that. Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, A&W root beer. It looks like it's cream soda one. And also, I got
Pepsi.
Hang on.
I thought the Coke Pepsi war was back initially. They're competing against Dr. Pepper, but then I see,
yeah,
looking back, we got an A&W root beer too. So
yeah, Pepsi, A&W root beer. I mean, these guys, he is a piggy just thirsty. Yeah, I guess so. When we get Mike on the show, we have been talking to him. He's going to come on the show. He had some busy things he was doing, but he is coming on the show.
Brother Bill. Hey, Brother Bill.
Brother Bill, how you doing?
Good to see you. He's in recovery mode tonight. So shout out to you. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. I didn't know if you get there from here.
Wow, that's cool.
He's on a need to know basis. Secure location.
Yeah. So that's an interesting product placement there for Mike. He's getting paid for that. And we finally see Jillian Parsons. She was introduced, I think, in the very first episode of this season when they were all sitting in the interpretive center. And she was in there, and I thought she was introduced as an archaeologist. Now it says scientific assistant. So, well,
yeah, to me, I mean, why do they have she's an archaeologist or an archaeologist in training or whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
So that tells me or suggests to me that they're paying even more specific attention to what's coming out of these boreholes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Because you notice how carefully she's photographing and logging everything that comes out of there.
Yep. I did notice that she had the camera going, and
which I've not seen before. I know they always mark it and they log it and they tag it and they bag it, but they're paying pretty particular attention to those.
Yes, they
and
are.
They also made comment about sending wood off to Emma.
Mm-hmm.
When did Emma get to have wood testing ability?
Other than checking
Uh,
it for, gold and stuff.
exactly. Exactly. Are they still looking for precious metals?
I think they are.
Hmm.
I think they are.
Anything they send off for carbon dating has to go someplace else, right?
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Because they
Mhm.
can't do that. That's the one thing they can't do, or well, one of the things they can't do
Mhm.
in the lab on Oak Island is to carbon date wood or even get the um, um, chronology,
Dendro. Yep.
dendrochronology. Thank you.
Yep.
So anyway, wish they could because then we get those results back even faster. But good to see Jillian out there. And Terry Matheson was not on the
Mhm.
island on this particular episode. So we didn't see him, but we did see Jillian. So that was pretty cool. This is the spot that they are currently, or on the show right there, we're currently digging D.25 6.75. And you'll notice it's just off of the head and shaft. And I've got another picture here. They did find some wood. We'll get to the other picture in a minute, but they did find some wood early on when they started going down. They found a little bit of wood, not big, heavy chunks, but small pieces. As the sonic drill rig is going down there, it's agitating and doing its sonic thing, and it's really chewing through stuff. So they got bits and pieces of wood as they went down. This was a promising hole because of its location. They were hoping to hit the Chappell Vault.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they got down to, let's see. Let me look at my notes here. They wanted to, they said they wanted to slide into the wall of the money pit, was what they were
Mhm.
hoping for, at 150 feet down to the Chappell Vault, which is at about 153. They figured the vault's at 150 to 160.
Yeah.
At 99 feet, they found these pieces of wood. Um, and then they got into this stuff here, sand
Mhm.
and loose cobble, which
Yeah.
this stuff right here is backfill.
Yeah. As soon as I saw the cobble, I went, "Oh, great."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I did too. Yeah. As soon
Yep.
as I saw it, I was like, well, that's
And
it.
that's clear evidence that the drill walked, right?
Exactly.
If they'd have gone in the top of where a caisson was, it would have been cobbled all the way down because they filled them all the way to the top. So
Right. So what
it
that
clear
means, go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
it just means it walked. Something pushed it. It for whatever reason,
Mhm.
it went sideways.
Yeah, it did look like beach sand, cat. That's for sure.
Yep.
Because I think that it has a lot of sand, and that sand's going to wash down out of the rock
Yep.
a lot easier, I think. But
Yep.
and kind of,
And like Steve says, path of least resistance.
yep, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Now, what they got into, I believe, was either T1 or RF1. I think it was. Yeah, we'll get that in a second. I got another picture, but
Yeah. T1.
but what that means when they take those caissons back out of the ground, and they've taken them all out except for C1. I think C1's the only one that's still well,
T1's the only one that's still there that I know of.
as of the end of
Yeah.
the season.
Yeah. That
It
I
was
know is
the only
still
one.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, C1 is the only one that's still there. But as they take these caissons out, they fill these back in with backfill as they're raising them out of there. Now, if they did that to H8, we know that there was a cavity at the bottom of H8.
Mhm.
So if they did that to H8, did they fill in that cavity as well with that backfill? I'm afraid they might have.
Might have.
And that's, to me, that's a bad thing. But anyway, so as they're taking those caissons back out of the ground, they're putting that backfill in there to fill up the void so it doesn't all collapse and make a big mess. And so that's what this is. That walked over. You see it like they showed this on the show last night of it hitting a rock and deflecting it or a hard surface. Like Tom said, the path of least resistance is where
Mhm.
that's going to go. So it walked over, and they're assuming like this, it missed it.
Yeah. And once it changes angle, it's not coming back unless it hits something else.
Correct. It's going to stay on that angle
Yep.
until they pull it back out, or it hits something else that moves it over. So, Ghost of Bay. Sorry, I'm late. Hey, we just got done talking about you. Good thing you didn't hear that.
No, listen, we said all kinds of nice things about you, Lo. See,
Yeah. Oh, we need we need an easier cipher. Yeah, we were showing your book, and we told people, Jake, that they had to read your book to figure out how to decode the cipher on the website.
or at least watch your podcast to
Yeah,
get some
or watch your
tips.
podcast. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. So, all right. So that's the idea behind it. Now, this is the little picture that I grabbed from last week's show, and I did the best I could. This may not be exact, folks. I did the best I could by showing you where the D.25-6.75 borehole is in relation to these two caissons. This is EC1 right here, and this is T1 or tester 1 right there. And I think it's tester 1 that it got into the backfill.
Yeah.
And I think they assumed that too. So you see how far that
Yeah.
could have walked over.
Mhm.
So what is the website? It's jfree906.com. jfree906.com, same as the channel here. So if you go check that out, go to the web. There it is. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. Yeah, you can go there and check that out. And it's got we're going to be building. It's an ongoing thing. There's going to be a lot more information coming in there. And hopefully we can get Jake to do a little blog and some news and all the other guys too. So we'll work on that as we go
Maybe
along.
drop a couple of teasers on the puzzle.
A couple of
Cipher.
teasers. Yeah, it's all good.
I'm not helping them.
Yeah. So you see how close it is to those caissons and how easy it would be for that to get into backfill. So yeah, I wanted to show that so you guys get an idea of of what that's all about. They did talk about T1, the caisson T1 a little bit. They kind of went back in time, which is when you want to take that drink of wine. And they did find this wood, which I thought was pretty cool. Now this wood, which is the T1 was 5 feet to the south of the borehole that they put in there. That's why I was showing it in that one picture. Best estimate for it. At 102 feet, they found this cut timber, hand cut timber. That's this one here. You see him pulling out, and there's a picture of it close up there. And that thing, they did have the dendro done on it, and it dated, the low end was about 1670. So what else do we know that's around 1670?
Oh yeah. Well, the Phipps guys were all there.
Yeah, exactly.
In or around the area, at least we know for sure.
Yeah. And then at 159 feet, that's when they started hitting that backfill, and it was all stopped at that point. They had to pull it. So this was some more of that wood that they had found, hand cut timbers from the mid to late 1600s. So good stuff, though. I mean, but they missed it, which means they got to do another one now. But that's in that same area of that picture that I showed you last week, where that same spot is about where they're going to put a caisson this year, later on this season.
I'm pretty confident they're going to drop one there.
Yeah. Yep. Because they pretty much they showed that on the one map. So we'll see when they get them. So what Jake does is way over my head, even though I've watched the majority of his podcast.
I've been following this stuff for years and it's still over my head, but I understand the gist of it. He's very good at explaining it. So
he is very good at explaining it, and thank goodness. I simple ciphers, reverse ciphers, I'm all good with that. K cipher, pretty good with that one, but now you get into some of those other ones. His
just
mind
remember,
works too much like
there are no mistakes.
Yeah,
they're there on purpose.
Yeah,
so that's a little clue for you.
Yes. Nonsense. Just remember, everyone.
Yeah, mistakes are clues.
Mistakes are clues. That is a yes. That's a key for you right there. Thank you, Jake. Jeff, enjoyed your recent on speculation about the spiral tunnel. I think it could be possible. It is possible, and that's what the Restalls believed. So, yeah, it could be possible
until somebody can categorically rule it out. It's a possibility.
Absolutely. Yep, that's exactly right. Next, we jump over to Lot 5, and this is where we see Fiona and Todd. And they're working in a new spot. You see, well, actually, they're actually Fiona and Todd are working in the Site 1, which was used to be the circular feature that has now become the foundation of a building. Sorry, folks, I still got a little bit of that cough has been going on for like 4 weeks now, so I apologize.
That area just gets bigger and bigger all the time.
It does. And you see that this is where Moya is working in the spot here that is it's not very deep. Now, this is a spot that Laird called the yard.
Yeah.
There's another picture of it. Now you see this road. Excuse me. You see this road back here in the background. This is one of the road, the access road to get back into. I think that's the road between lot 4 and lot 5, is what I think that
Okay.
is. I believe so. Um,
Yeah. If you're looking at it from the shore, it would have to be. Yep.
yeah. So in lot 4, right back over here in the top left or top right corner is where they've been um,
Dumping the spoils.
dumping the spoils. Where Gary's been over there.
Yep.
Yep,
Hmm.
finding stuff in the spoils.
Hmm.
So here they are working on it, and I got one more picture here. There, you can get a better look at it there. So here's the feature, site 1 in the front of the picture where they've been doing all the work. We need more beads, yes. And then in the background, you can see them working in what Laird called the yard, or like the front yard of the structure. That's kind of what he was referring to there, I believe. Um, so, what do you call? Oh, southwest exterior. Yeah. So that would be towards looking at where you see the side by side sitting back over here. That's lot 4, I believe. That's why I say that.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. I'm pretty
Because
sure.
you're looking to the southwest of the
Yep.
pizza. Okay, and here's the bead that Moya found. Pretty cool. I mean, they found those Phoenician beads, these right here, the white ones with the red and blue stripes on them. They found those last year, and now they found this red one, which is pretty cool. And then there, people talk about trade beads. So trade beads, I think Tom, I think you were talking about this a little bit last night about being used for money, right?
No, they're just the same as cash. Yep. No different than a lead token or a barter token or anything else. They would exchange those. Those are valuable to the native people. So whatever you wanted to get from the native people, you exchanged beads with the native people for.
Yep, exactly. So interesting find. They jump over to the lab and let Emma get a look at this thing. There it is, a little bit more cleaned up. It's really kind of cool looking.
I was surprised by the color of it.
Yeah, and it really didn't. I mean, the end result of it was that it was. She said it was Venetian. And then she gave a date on it. She said early 1700s, going back into the 1600s. So 16 to 1700s. And again, that takes us back to what and who. We keep getting a lot of stuff in that same date range. And is that also McQuiston's date
Well,
range as
15,
well?
you're talking 1500s, 1600s. You're talking McQuiston had the Scottish over here. The 1500s, the Portuguese were over here. The Spanish were here. The French were here, 1600s. So any one of those groups could have had beads.
Right.
Any one of those groups, So, or they could have been earlier. Goodness knows. I mean, if they were backfilling these structures to hide them, then that's probably not where that bead was initially anyway on the island.
That's a good point.
Right? It came from someplace else. So, I mean, Templar, Basque, Portuguese, Spanish. I mean, you get a whole list of potential guilty parties in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know that's kind of a good point there, too, that we know the Mi'kmaq have been on this island because they found pottery in different places.
Oh yeah,
Like
like
southeast corner of the
9 or
swamp.
10,000 years. That's not even.
So if they had any of these beads, which we know that they did, who's to say it didn't come from one of them? I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I just simply don't know.
Nope.
But we know that they found the Mi'kmaq pottery, which is put an all stop to looking back a couple seasons ago, which was kind of a tragic thing.
There's absolutely no doubt that there was indigenous people on that island or sections of that island at one time. Even the top part, the north part around the eye of the swamp, there's stuff found up there that they haven't even told us yet.
Yeah,
which is another cause for not cause for concern, but
right.
A cause to pay more attention to what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that Laird had mentioned when we had him on the show before, was that the things that they did show. Remember that when he was working down the southeast corner of the swamp, and they found when all this started, and they did an all stop in those digging areas, and he found what looked like a dirt clod, quite honestly, and he said that was a piece of pottery. He said that was the least of what they had found.
Yeah.
Prometheus decided to show on TV, the least of what they had found. So anyway,
There have been things found on that island that go back a lot further than even the time sections that we're looking at,
exactly. Yeah.
the
So
time periods. Yeah.
yeah. And another thing that Laird had said when they were in the war room and they were looking at this was that he continues with his ideology or idea that the Lot 5 structure was repurposed later on. It was originally built by somebody a while back,
Mhm.
and then later on it was repurposed by someone else, maybe
Oh,
more than one other. So multi-generational use of the lot.
hey, Carmen.
Hey, Carmen Legg, how you doing? We were talking about you tonight too.
Mhm.
We showed your book. That you are part of our giveaway tonight. Your book, What
Yeah.
a Fella Said.
Just your book, Carmen, not you.
Yeah. So your book and your one of your hats are being given away tonight. So good time to show up, Carmen. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Hope you're doing well, sir.
Mm.
So and also your website. I'm encouraging people to go check out your website. So it's good. I like it. You can get all of his merch there too. So let's do our giveaway. Speaking of giveaway, let's do that now. We'll get Linda on here and I'll get the picture back up for it. Like a Fella Says, that's it. There we go. All right. So let's get that picture up here. And then Linda's going to pop in and she's going to help us with the giveaway tonight. So we got the hat, one of Carmen's hats, embroidered hats. Very nice. And also his new book, Like a Fella Says, Stories of the Old Days, Such as They Were.
I have the book, and it is a riot.
Yeah.
There are stories in there. If you ever grew up in a small town or a small community or know people that did, you will relate to these stories. And if you didn't, then you're going to learn what a good life people in those small communities have.
Yep. Absolutely. And then he has
So it's a
another
win-win.
book about the use and care of oxen too. So
Yep. And I've got that one as well, and it's a terrific reference book.
yep. So
I
and he
still
has a
live.
really good go. I'm sorry, go ahead, Linda.
It's okay. I still live in a small town. There are 2,300 of us.
Mhm.
And every Wednesday night, there's a group of guys that have played cards together since the mid 1970s. So the card games and the stories are just phenomenal in Carmen's book. And it reminds me of right here.
Hmm.
Yeah. I grew up in a very small town too, up in Rudyard, Michigan.
In the yard.
Yeah. Very so Rudyard Kipling. It was named after Rudyard Kipling, but yeah, very small little town up in the UP. Oh, I'm wearing my UP. I forgot I was wearing my UP jacket tonight up in the UP of Michigan. So but anyway, so to be eligible to win one of our giveaways, and just because people keep giving us all this stuff, like Carmen, we decided to do these giveaways. So to be eligible for that, you need to be a member of our Facebook group page, which is the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Skinwalker Ranch. That's another show that we talk about when it's in season. And Linda will put up the pictures of the coming week's giveaway, like the pictures you see here on the screen. And all you do is you have to comment to that post on the YouTube page or on the Facebook page and say yes. That's it. You comment on the post, say yes, and you're automatically entered into the giveaway. You must be here at the podcast to win. We'll call out the winner. You get about a minute to say you're here. If we don't hear from you, we'll spin again and get somebody else. So, did I miss anything on that, Linda?
I don't think so. After you've won once during the season, we're not going to let you enter again until the finale.
Yeah.
And that gives everybody a chance.
Yeah, and the finale will have something really cool for that too. So,
I've already got it.
oh, you already got it. All right.
I do.
You're about 20 weeks ahead.
I am.
All right. All right. Are you ready to spin?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. I'll put you in solo layout here and we'll get this underway. Uh-oh, something happened. It switched screens.
Oh, you just sold a car.
Just sold a car. Woohoo!
Oh my
You're
gosh,
not winning the car.
giving away a
Price is right.
car.
Price is right. Somebody just won a car.
Ta-da!
See?
Started over. Somebody won a car. All right, here we go.
Can you see it?
No, it's all right. see what it says. David Jarvis.
Dave Jarvis. Yep.
David Jarvis, are you here, David? Let us know. Bill Burns says, want a car? Woo. Yeah, Linda can afford that, right?
Happened? Oh, down at the bottom, there's some ads for cars. And I
Oh,
suppose when I held it, I was touching one of those little cars.
Yep.
Sorry, brother, you're out of luck.
Yeah. David Jarvis, let us know if you're here. So we can get you all set up for this.
Tune in next week. We'll spin for the car.
Yeah.
That's a donation furnished by Tom Burns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it might be an old rusted out,
I can get one, though.
hatchback.
We'll find something.
Recycle yard just up the road. So
There you go, Linda. Who wants a car when you can have Carmen swag? Exactly. I know, right?
That's right.
That's right. David Jarvis,
Okay,
you're on the
David
clock here.
Jarvis, are you here?
We have to spin again if you're not. Yep. Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels.
yeah.
Those I've
Yeah, that's
got.
more like it. Yeah, that's more like it.
Can you make one out of Lego?
I was just going to say, I have a bunch of little Lego cars we could do.
It probably costs as much
Yeah,
to ship it as
a
a
car
real
with no
car.
engine.
Right.
You got to come and get it. Uh-oh.
Well,
I'm
I'm
frozen.
thinking that David isn't here.
Not hopeful. No.
Okay. Well,
Am I frozen? Am I still here?
you're very frozen.
Yeah. There you go. You're back. Sort of.
Oh, yeah, you're looking kind of weird.
A Cybertruck, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna do this again.
All right, we're gonna spin again. All right.
Yep.
Sorry, David Jarvis. You missed out. Oh, now we can see it.
Just the right angle there now.
Oh, I saw Bill Burns go by. Dang it. You missed it. Amanda Whitehead. Amanda.
There you go.
We know who
Celebrity.
she is. She's been making cool looking pictures of everybody.
Yep.
She made a cool
Amanda,
one
are
of
you still up?
happy
Amanda
birthday.
was-
That
in
could
the
be the
UK.
skill testing question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's currently 1:00 in the morning.
Oh, she might not
She's
be here.
usually here, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there
Sure.
she is. There she
There
is.
we go.
All right. She's been making those really cool pictures. She made one of me and Tom, and she made one of Aaron Taylor for his birthday today, which was really cool.
Yep. She did one of Seth also.
Did one of
Yeah,
Seth too,
one of Seth recently too. Yeah, that was really cool.
Mhm.
All right,
Mhm.
congratulations. All right, good deal.
Okay, Amanda, if you will send me your address and just understand this is going to take a month to 6 weeks to get to you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you,
Okay,
Linda. We
thanks, Linda.
appreciate you very much. All right, let's get. Hold
Okay,
on.
where
a
are we
second.
at?
Yeah, I know, right? I got to get. I'm trying to get back to my pictures here because we are heading over to begin talking about which I thought was the best part of the show. I was kind of disappointed about the particular borehole because it went in there and came up with a backfill. But so
Yeah, but
what
we
they-
yeah, but we don't we know there's still something down there worth looking for, right?
absolutely.
No, okay, it went sideways, it went into where the old caisson was. Well, so what big deal? Get over it, drill another hole.
Yeah. And don't leave too soon. Stay to the end of the show tonight because when we jump over to next week's, we got some stuff to talk about for next time on the Curse of Oak Island. So stick with
Speculation's
it.
free.
Yeah. So all right, let's get going with this. So we jump over to the war room, and the guys are all in there, and they're talking about the work that they want to do now in the swamp. And where did you get this pic? Was this from this year?
That was from last night. Yeah, that was from last night when they did the flyover. Must have been their own drone or whatever of the swamp. Yeah, I thought it was a great shot.
Yeah, before it got drained.
Yeah, shows you how much water's actually in there.
A lot. It's a lot of water. Really is.
And how big a space it is and what you could float in there. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I go back to the old story. Like, okay, was it the swamp man-made or not? I don't know. But was the swamp dammed off at one end to the other or not? I'm thinking the north end of the swamp was dammed for, I mean, you can pick your reason, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as you dam it, you stop the free flow of water between two islands, which is
Yep.
what keeps that channel clear. As soon as you stop that free flow of water, I mean, I could take you over to our camp, and like my brother's my camp, and we can show you where a cove will, over the course of 50 years, if there's no water flowing through it, it will fill in
Yep, it will.
full of sediment. Stuff will blow in there and settle in there. And, you know, where you could drive a boat 50 years ago, you can walk on it now. You know, so could something have floated in there and it been used for whatever purpose you want? Absolutely.
Yep.
Here, that's my ramble.
Yeah. Speculation is free here on the J Free 906 podcast. That's true.
Yep.
It is.
And,
And
it's in abundance. And it's in abundance.
Yes. So, but cool picture because you can see Nolan. I call it Nolan's Peninsula. I don't know what they call it, but that's this little piece sticking out right here. Fred Nolan wanted to be able to get out closer to the middle of the swamp. And remember, he was the one that said that there was some sort of a he thought there was a boat. It wouldn't be a big ship. I don't believe there's any way a galleon could get in there because the sea levels were lower back then anyway. And it's not that deep out just outside of the road on the south end of the swamp anyway. So, but you could get a tender, one of the small boats that they carry with them. You could get one of those.
Barge.
Or a barge. You could get one of those in there for sure. Something that didn't have a deep keel. So that's something like that. Yes, the swamp is fresh water except for what blows over in storms. But
it's fresh water now. It's fresh water now because of the spring.
Correct.
Before both ends of that swamp were blocked off, it would have been mixture of salt water and fresh water.
Exactly. Because there's a natural spring on the north side of the eye of the swamp. And we'll show, I got a picture of that here coming up in just a few minutes. You'll get to see that. So anyway, nice picture of the swamp there. I grabbed this one because they were kind of looking back in time. And you remember the stone road down in the southeast corner. Well, that's this down here at the bottom, of course. Down here's the stone road. And then this road here is the road that they followed all the way up to where Nolan's house sits. It goes all the way up that way. Now, so it was kind of neat taking a look back in time at this stuff. And you also had, you see a little bit more of it. You have the platform, the ramp, all that was right in this area here. The platform, okay, so the platform was like right in here, and then you had the ramp right here, just on the other side of Nolan's Peninsula. Here's the eye of the swamp, and the spring is right about there. Feeds into the eye, and then it feeds into the rest of the of the swamp. So, kind of cool looking pictures. This is the platform that they had found. I don't know what they're actually calling it now, but it was that big stone platform. The thing is much bigger than what we ever thought because there's a better picture of it coming up here, but that was dated about 1200. So that's why we talk about the even though a lot of things are being found on the island that are dating about 17 or 16, between 1650 and 1700. A lot of stuff is coming up to be around that date. There is a lot of things there too that date back all the way to the 1200s, and this is one of them. Here's a couple of pictures that they were showing, and I got one from Zane on here too that he sent over in Discord last night. Where would you unload cattle, mules, and horses? The heavy stuff wooden dock would take. So where would they unload it on the island? I would say here.
Yeah.
Or down in the southeast corner.
If that's a little bit of a cove or a sheltered spot to get into out of the wind, then build yourself a ramp, a dock, whatever you want to call it, platform, and bring in your smaller boats and unload. Yep. Yeah.
Now, what they were showing on this, they were talking about some areas that they want to work in or look in this season. So you'll probably see much of this happening. One of them was this area right down in here. And that was where they found that structure. Now, there was a restall structure down here at one point. They did put some of this in here. But they also found one that was deeper, and it was right in front of the spruce tree. Let me get rid of right here is a spruce tree. And it was this one. It was right in front of the spruce tree. And there was a structure there that they had uncovered a couple seasons ago, about the time that they were finding the Mi'kmaq pottery. Thank you, Craig. hide some treasure in Jay Frey's swamp cooler. Thank you, Craig, very much. I appreciate it, sir. That's really cool because it does, as Jake and everybody knows, it does cost to do this, and I really appreciate that. It helps a lot to keep it going. Thank you. So you've got those that structure there that they're going to be looking at. I'm really glad that they're going to be heading that down in that area because that was a place of high importance to me that I wanted to know more about what was happening there. There's also this is the paved area. They call it the paved area. This I was calling it a platform, but this it here and this is Nolan's road going out to Nolan's Peninsula out here, and it says Nolan's Shaft. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that he had done some sort of a shaft out there. Did you?
He
forgot
thought he found some kind of a shaft out there. Was at one point, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Mm.
I think that would warrant excavation being excavated, but they didn't talk about that. But these are permit areas. So this was the paved area that I was calling the platform, right there. These are the permit areas, the different permit areas. That was 1 and 2. This is 3 here. They call that the midden. And again, so there's some different features here, but this is permit 3 area.
Mhm.
And I think this has to do with the Mi'kmaq stuff. You see a cobble path right here.
Yeah.
I thought was pretty interesting.
How specific those areas are that they've cordoned off these permits.
Yeah, very specific. For sure. Well dig right there. I love looking at these pictures when they show them. I like to grab them and have a good look. You can see the boulders that they found for the headstone for these red lines are the cross. Nolan's
Stone's Cross. Yeah. Yep.
Mhm. So you see the stone there. There's another stone. This is Cone D down here, which is also called Beauty from the Tree of Life. And these are places where John Edwards told them they should have a look. So, so it's David. Did he show? Oh man, oh, got here a little late or missed it. Okay, so and then there was the final one, which is up here towards the more towards the road that goes over to Nolan's house and around to the money pit the back way. And so that's this and the permit area 4. This is where they're working now on this side of the road. So that's a good spot. And again, one of the things this one doesn't show it. I see the drilled stones are in here. They got a couple of those marked out. But again, that's permit area 4. And I think the next picture, this was the one that Zane put together, kind of an overview of it. And Zane is it's hard to, once I zoom in, it kind of loses
it blurs out on you.
It does, unfortunately, it really does. But Zane put this together, kind of an overview of all of them together. And then much of his markings that he's got in here. Here's the money pit area and all the stuff that he's done with the money pit. So, and Smith's Cove down in there as well. So really cool. One of the things too that we were, I'm sorry, this is the one that he did. That other one was the one.
No, so that was off screenshot off the show. Yeah.
Sorry about that. One of the things that we were talking about in Discord last night was the quadrilateral, and we were wondering, I couldn't remember where it was. Well, here it is right here. It's lot 13 up here. So that's where the quadrilateral is right there. And they were looking at this right here. Is that a cone right there? I don't know. And then these are the drilled stones. I'm not sure if that's exactly what those are, the drilled stones that they were marked out. But yeah, really cool stuff that Zane is at.
Lot 15, would they be the cairns, the stone piles?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the cairns. Yes, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, because that's the highest point on the island. So.
Yeah, really cool. I mean, Zane's really done a lot of work with this stuff. It's really pretty impressive. Pretty impressive stuff that he's got going on here. But you see these are the different zones, permit zones. And that's why it takes so long to get anything done in there. Unfortunately, it really does. This is the spot where you see they're working right now. And this whole marshy area, I think this is the where the spring comes up right here. I'm pretty sure that's the spot. And you can see where it trickles down all the way down this line here to the eye of the swamp and then beyond from there. but there's never any vegetation that grows in the eye. And does that have something to do with the blue clay that's down there?
It might have it. It might just be the fact that there's, water always flowing out of there, so nothing's going to grow there.
Yeah, could be.
Just like a lake. I mean, there's grass doesn't grow in the middle of a lake.
Mhm. Yep.
So just
But
plain
this
old
shows
water.
you where they're at, and this is the road that's going to Nolan's house right here.
Mhm.
You heard Marty when they were in the war room, and they had Marty on the Zoom call. He was talking about where Rick really wants to look is on the other side of the road, and they will get there
The north side of the
this
road.
season. Yeah, which is up over here in this area.
Mhm.
They want to do some digging over there, and these spots here, this right here, if you remember that's one of the big boulders that they found last season, and they were looking in one of the spots that John Edwards had mentioned for them to
Mhm.
look. And that's why this whole area is kind of cleared off here, because that's where they were looking last year. Now they're in this spot here, and they're already finding some interesting things. As we go along here, there's another shot just to give you a better, there's the eye, and the how the water trickles all the way down through there from the spring. They found this board here. This is one of like a plank. And Rick was talking about this notch that's in it right there. What did you make of this, Tom? What was your thoughts on this thing?
Yeah, the notch is a notch, but what I looked at more than that is the flat part of that board.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the lines where it almost looks like it was hewn lumber.
Yep,
The
that's what I
vertical
thought
lines
too.
on the board. Yeah, it looks
Uh-huh.
almost like hand hewn lumber. You can see the
Yeah.
lines, the gouges,
Yep.
right?
All these
And
different
you're
gouge
always
areas.
going to get gouges and stuff in lumber from using it on rocks or whatever. But I mean, it looks a little bit more obvious than that to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Renee said too.
The other
Hand
thing too, yeah, with that board though, I mean, it might as well be sitting on the surface. So where did it come from? Goodness knows.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
If it was down deep in the muck,
Mhm.
that to me that would have a lot more significance.
Yeah, that board could have been laying there for years. I mean, even that whole structure. We want to talk about the structure. That whole structure, is not down deep, right? It's near the surface.
Right.
It's not super deep.
Yep.
But anyway,
Yep.
we digress. Go ahead.
It could be ads cut, like Jan said, or
Yep.
a split log. Yeah, it's
Yep.
but it could have floated in there. Could have washed in from a hurricane over the
Could have
years.
been goodness knows what. Yep.
Yeah, that's why I like it when they find them down deep in the
Yep.
muck, because
Mhm.
that has a tendency to have been there a lot longer. But if they date it, I think they probably will date it regardless and find out where it came from, but or time
Yeah.
frame.
The big thing for me is there was no nail holes, spike holes, rust spots. Definitely not a modern plank.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Here's where they were doing some digging there in this spot. And the reason I grabbed this particular picture, not only because of the rock that was found, and we will get into that more about another platform, it seems like. But also look in the bottom of this picture.
Mhm.
Is that more blue clay?
That's
It
clay.
looks definitely gray in this picture, but I mean, what do you
Call it
think?
whatever you want. It's clay.
It's clay. That's definitely clay down there.
Hmm.
So I mean, and at one point, Dr. Spooner had said that the eye of the swamp had a lot of this blue clay in it, and maybe that was a place where they were coming to get the blue clay. And I really didn't. I honestly, and the reason I didn't like that idea, and the reason I didn't like it was simply because I wanted it to be more in the eye of swamp. I want it to have more significance in that, and I still think it does. But if they dig down and they find blue clay in other places, is it being used as a sealant or is it naturally there? Tom and the guys that are from the area that are in the chat, I mean, is there a lot of blue clay or this kind of clay around that area?
I'm in New Brunswick, so the geography is similar to Nova Scotia, but I've not seen anything like that around where I live.
Yeah.
But that certainly
Yeah.
doesn't mean it couldn't exist there.
Yep. I see my son is here. Hello, son.
Mhm.
Glad to see you jump in with us. So, I mean, that makes me wonder, is this really a good source of this clay, or is it being used for a purpose? a special purpose here, like sealant. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Could it be a
needs
plug of
for-
some sort? Yeah.
Yeah, and if it is a plug, then obviously they need to dig deeper and dig it up and see what's underneath it. In my opinion, anyway. But I grabbed that one because I noticed that right off the bat. I was like, "Oh my gosh, look at the
What I
clay!"
was
there.
always used to say, people would say, "Well, the eye of the swamp was a blue clay mine." I said, "Well, no, if it was a blue clay mine, there wouldn't be any blue clay left in it.
Yes,
It would
exactly.
be empty. It would just be a big hole." But
Right. Where else did we hear them talk about blue clay
Mm.
and a money pit?
Yep.
One of the layers going down every 10 feet
Also,
was
the,
reported to
also
be covered with blue clay.
the Chappell Vault was supposedly had a layer of clay in it and under it.
Correct. Yep. So, there's a message for Carmen. Hey, Carmen, what would they have put a notch on the edge of the plank to build a ship? Just curious. Seems strange. Not no. Yeah, he's an iron guy. He
Yeah.
deals in iron.
Only if it was to go around a piece of iron.
Yeah, probably more for building fences. Hey, maybe. Yeah, could be. Here's a good picture because it gets you an idea of this layer. Now, we know that over in the what I was calling the platform that they're calling the paved area, which I think is a large unloading or loading area, because somebody was talking about that earlier. Wouldn't you need a large area to get animals, livestock, oxen, and stuff off of boats onto the to the shore, or some things that are really, really heavy? If you're pulling ox carts and stuff up there, you're going to need this nice heavy duty walkway. You're going to need a paved area like that. Well, the construction of it was small rocks, big rocks, all stacked in uniform, very, very nice and neatly stacked. And then under it, in some areas of the swamp, we found where they had sticks and logs and whatnot. You can kind of see those layers in this picture.
And that's the standard way to build a platform like that in a swamp or a marsh, right? You throw down rocks, you throw down sticks, you throw down whatever in different layers. And that also provides basically a floating type support to the main layer that you put down at the top, which is logs. And then you cover the logs with dirt and sod and earth and gravel or whatever else. And you need a nice big area if you're going to be hauling stuff either onto the island or off of the island. You need a place for those oxen to turn around.
Yep, exactly. And you're going to need, it's going to have to be very, very, to keep you out of the muck and keep it from sinking. It's going to have to be very sturdy and very well built.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see that here. I mean, this is, I mean, you don't have to be a geoscientist like Ian Spooner to look at this and say, somebody built this. This was not natural. Remember the drilling down episode to start the season? They found,
built.
yes,
Somebody built that. Somebody built that. There's no question.
yes,
about
I
it.
do, Brian. I do remember that. And I don't think this is it. I don't think this is what Maddie saw or what they showed Maddie in that drilling down episode.
Yeah, I think that's coming. No, you're back now. But I think that's coming. That's going to be a future down the road where they go to vault over to the money pit. But I don't think that's what they were talking about for a big discovery.
Yeah. I'm getting a little bit of, I'm on Starlink here and it seems to be having a little issue tonight. So I'm freezing up a little bit. I hope I'm coming through okay, but
you're okay. Yeah, go ahead.
But like I said, clearly this is man-made. There's no doubt about that it's man-made. Now here's some of those logs that Rick was talking about. He was talking about these logs all laid out like a path or a road. Well, I've seen this before. And
that's a corduroy road. That's a corduroy road. Or you can call it a road, or you can call it a ramp, or you can, call it whatever you want. But that's what it is, and it's at the surface, so it's not. I'm not going to say it's modern, but it's, it's not medieval.
Yep, but you can see all these logs in here. There's a lot of them going through here. Yeah, they're all the way along. So this is some sort of a corduroy road. Now the question is, who built it and how old is it?
Exactly. Yep.
That's the key question to this. And they will get this. You heard Rick say that they're going to get these logs carbon dated or do the dendro on them and find out what the age of these logs are. And when Ian Spooner was out there, here's another shot of those. Clearly man-made. There's no doubt. Here's another shot of the logs. and that is a corduroy road. This is, now I got some pictures that, excuse me, some pictures here that, that Tom shared with us. And here's one here. You can see the logs laid out in this swampy area.
Yeah.
They're all over the place.
That's the way you skirted the swamp, right? You throw a bunch of rocks in a hole and you lay logs over them. And if you got the brush, if you cut down the trees and you've got the brush, put down the rocks, put down the brush over top of the rocks, put your logs on it, and then you can fill it in with gravel or don't fill it in with gravel, and away you go. They still build them around here for logging.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've seen them up in the UP of Michigan quite often when they go through swamp. There's a lot of swampy areas up there. And when they do that, if they're working on like the power lines that run through the, cross country, and you see those corduroy, they use big railroad ties quite often now, old railroad ties. They lay them in, lay them out side by side all the way and make a road out of it.
Now, the thing to keep in mind about corduroy roads is corduroy roads were used in Europe for thousands of years. That's, like it's undisputed. The thing we got to figure out is how long have they been used in North America?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And from what I can find out, the corduroy road was introduced in North America. Different schools of thought. 1600 onward would be the, 1700s would be probably more prevalent, but the use of the corduroy road in North America, at least my part of North America, would be 1600s, 1700s, where it was introduced by the Europeans.
Yep. Bill, that's a great comment right there too. Remember, about 30 tons of the Concepcion treasure is missing. Hard to get that on an island. Best way is to build a dock, then haul it by cart, oxen, horse. Exactly.
Yeah, and that could just be an early form of log cribbing too, to build a dock or a wharf.
Right, and the dates match up.
Yep.
So yeah, so you're right, and a great comment. I appreciate that. So somebody else said, Pete said that's how we get to our hunting camp. Yeah, they got a corduroy roads.
Yeah.
So there you go. So, but great comment there, Bill. You're absolutely right. And we know the dates match up. There's so many things, and I think he knew. I think Phipps and Belcher knew about Oak Island from other sources way before their time. And he just went there and repurposed it. I think they're the ones that were repurposing Lot 5.
Totally possible. Yep.
It is. Could be wrong, but I believe that's the case. Here's another picture of it here. Here's another one. It's a great example of them building one. So, yeah. And remember, that was the first thing that Rick had found was the logs going this direction, like down here at the bottom, and then the logs laying across it. So, yeah, no doubt that's what it is. Absolutely no doubt.
And I mean, Dr. Spooner said, I've never seen one of these before. Well, yeah, okay, maybe he's never seen one before, but that doesn't mean it's unique. It just means he hasn't seen one.
Right. Yeah.
In person.
Yep. Something too that we wanted to point out, because when I first saw these in last week, and I was looking in this week's preview, was I thought they looked like the first ones right there in that one picture looked like old power poles. Power line poles, because there was at one point power lines that ran across the the east from the northeast to the southeast across the swamp along where that road that Dr. Taylor had found running up from the southeast corner of the swamp all the way up by Nolan's house. There was a line of poles, and you can see some right here.
Yeah. Just back to Jake's point too, that the Cobble Road in the swamp is Roman engineering. Absolutely no question about it. It's how often were they there? Who went back? Who reused it? The Cobble Road doesn't look like it was ever built into a corduroy road. So I would say you're 100% correct on that.
Yep. So there was a line. They're not there now, but there was a line. And I remember a couple of, I don't know if it was season 11, it might've been 10. It was when they were going through that. Had to be when Aaron was there. So that was 9 or 10, but they found some that looked like an old telephone pole. Rick had found it, like sections of a power pole.
Yeah.
And they were down closer to the southeast corner of the swamp.
Yeah.
And that's what I said when I first saw him. I said, "Oh, that looks like a telephone pole or a power pole."
Mm-hmm.
So, but they were there.
Right size, right diameter. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
So,
Cat's Point, the old corduroys were made by Iron Age peoples. Absolutely, they were. They just weren't made here. They were introduced here. Yeah.
yep. So Rick and they bring out Dr. Spooner because they want him to take a look at the soils. He's carrying a nice stick there. What did you make out of that? That looks like a.
Well, he's grabbed that for some reason because it's a pointed stick. It's a shaped stick. It's not just a something. So was it a stake somewhere that they're going to get dated, or where did he
Yeah.
pull it out from? That's what I noticed. Of all the wood and all the debris all over the place, he kept that piece.
Yeah.
And
And he also, yeah, go ahead.
Was because it was pointed. It was shaped, so it's a wooden stake.
Yeah.
They keep pulling these wooden stakes. Well, see if you can get it dated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And you remember if you saw, he was down when he got down looking at the rock structure, and he pulled out a rock from there, and he was looking at, that's his thing. You find a piece of wood that is smashed in between those rocks. That's how he dated the platform that they're calling the paved area.
Yeah.
To 1200 because he found a stick in there that had been smashed by the rocks. He took it out and they went and got it dated.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he found some more in this structure, in smashed in the rocks, and they're going to get that dated. I'm really looking forward because, as Tom was saying, this is how we're going to get the date of this thing. It could have been more modern, and especially with it being on top like that. If it wasn't submerged under the muck that we know preserves wood very, very well, because they found wooden barrel pieces and railing pieces and all kinds of stuff in the muck, it preserves them very well. This is kind of on the top, on the surface a little bit. So I don't know. It may be more modern, but we'll know when they date.
Kind of like to pull those logs off of there to see if there's a structure under there similar to the road at the bottom of the swamp.
Maybe it was
and maybe this was repurposed.
Yep.
I don't know. I'd also like to know what the difference in elevation is between there and the one at the south end of the swamp.
That's a good point too. Yeah, that's a great idea. And they did, because they always do. Anytime they find something, they get
couples running all over with the magic wand. Right?
Exactly. He's out there all the time.
Yeah.
And one thing too that Rick had said when he was looking at where the path of this road is, he said, and he pointed right at the eye of the swamp. He said, it looks like it's heading right for the eye of the swamp. Okay, if the eye of the swamp was a source of blue clay, or whatever purpose the eye of the swamp is, really, that we don't know yet. If there was a path or this thing heading over there, that would make sense, right? That they were getting something out of it or putting something, I don't know. But he said it was heading that way. Now, we don't see those logs in this picture, leading over there, but
no,
I don't know. Maybe. So. Oh, there he is. Now, they went back to 2019 and they were talking about the eye of the swamp.
Yeah.
And they had Gary in there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's got his cross right here. I love that picture. That's why I grabbed the head too. But he is in the eye of the swamp right there, and he's finding those stones in that circle. And he marks it out, and that this is what they basically found. So there was a circle of stones, and then the blue clay in the middle of it.
Yep.
Now, again, folks, this is why I go back to the point that this is a man-made structure. The eye of the swamp is not natural. So if that's the case, then okay, thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. I'm just reading your message here. Aaron Taylor's first appearance was in the spring of 2020, and it was season 8 and 9. Okay, thank you. But the eye of the swamp was definitely created by someone. If it's got a line of stones and a circle around it like that, and it doesn't grow vegetation, and the base of it is got blue clay in it, I'm saying it had to be created by someone.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, rocks don't normally form a circle, so it's man-made.
And you get this right here.
Yep. And like Carmen says, he'd like to know when those trees were harvested. Absolutely. If they don't take an end off a couple of those logs to get them at least end road, I'd be shocked.
So, and this is very, very interesting in my opinion, that it looks like the dollar bill. This was a great symbol. It's on our dollar bill. I mean, and yet the swamp is triangle shaped, and it does have that all-seeing eye at the top. It's just too. And you know how you've heard me say before, I don't believe in coincidences. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
the Masons make that stuff in plain sight. You know, whether it's the Washington
Yeah.
Capitol or wherever, right? They put this stuff in plain sight, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you won't see it.
Yeah. So I don't know. So we go back to the whole thing. Was the whole swamp created on purpose? So that's why I used this picture for the thumbnail tonight, because I strongly believe, and so does Rick, and Marty is finally coming on board, that the swamp holds clues to this day. There's secrets here that
Oh, yeah.
need to be uncovered.
No doubt about it. Yep.
It might be a smelly, nasty mess, but if they don't investigate it to its extent, they're going to miss out on some important clues.
Yep. Yep. So, I mean, where would the fun be without all this muck and the stink?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Wouldn't be any fun.
No. And we're better to hide something important in a place that people are not going to want to go.
You don't want to go there. No.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I believe that's important. Here's a picture of when Dr. Spooner was looking. He's got Site A written here, and there's a piece of wood that he's got dated. And again, going back to that same date. This is going back a couple of years, but you're looking at that same date, 1680.
Yep.
So I think that the Phipps thing, the Phipps and Belcher
Theory
thing
is one of the theories that fits the best.
Yep. As a repurposing or reusing of this whole place. The dates go back much, as we said before, the dates go back much older than that for its original use, originator, the people that they're originally.
And we know it was used well after the 1600s.
Right. Yep.
So,
yep.
To Carmen, to Laird's point, like what's been used by multiple peoples.
Yep. I grabbed this this picture here. I've actually got this this poster in my office in my studio back home, and the reason I wanted to get it, because they mentioned on here Anthony Graves' house. He used to have a house right there next to Nolan's property, and this was one place where I remember it was shown in a picture, and that's it right there. So here's Nolan's house and garage and outbuildings and whatnot, right there. 1857 to 1887, Anthony Graves' house. So I wanted to know where that was, and keep that in mind when they're dating that wood. Did Anthony Graves have anything to do with any of this stuff over in that area? Maybe, maybe not. But it also gives you a good look at where the flow of the swamp, if the roads weren't there and all of that. And it goes back to the point that Tom made about a dam. And remember, they were looking in this area right here, right along here. They were looking in that area last year with the excavator, and they dug down and they did find wood, but then they stopped because they needed a permit to go any deeper, and they just haven't revisited that area yet.
Yeah. And once you build something across there, once you stop that flow of water, if the other end remains open, it's going to fill in.
Absolutely.
It has to.
So they need to get down there. They need to find that wood. They need to get it dated and see what that was. Was it a dam? Remember Zena's map. Zena's map says there's a dam.
And we know from some of the pictures, we know from some of the pictures of Tony's tours this summer that they were doing a serious amount of work up there.
Yep. So I think that's very interesting, to say the least. So there's that swamp, folks. It has to have. There's more answers in that swamp, and I know I said that before, but it's that important to find out what's going on in there. It truly is. Okay. So now let's jump ahead. that was the pretty much the end of the episode for last night and the things that they found there. I'm so glad that they're in the swamp. And I am looking forward to next week's show. And here is part of the reason why. Couple of things. And this was an interesting shot right here. This was in the episode for next week, or in the preview for next week. They found some bricks and what looks like, I think it's a rock. Tom has timber or rock marked there.
Yeah.
Looks to
First
me
look
like,
at it,
go ahead.
the first look at it, I thought it was a timber because there's other, you see the round logs behind it.
Yep.
So was it a timber that was put there for some purpose, or is that a rock? If it's a rock, somebody did a nice job making, squaring it off.
Yep. This area right here is what we're looking at. That looks like a rock to me, a shaped rock.
Oh,
Actually, it looks a lot like the barn stones or cut stones that we just built a wall out of in our driveway back in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like that. But anyway, what's the other thing you noticed about this one, Tom?
Well, we're talking about the size and shape of the bricks.
Yep.
If you look at the size and shape of those bricks, they're old. So my first thought was, are the ones on top wooden, or are they man-made? And then because the one that they tap in the preview for next week is the gray one. You just see the corner of it. You can hear him tap it with his shovel, and it gives that metal sound.
Yep.
So, but if they're bricks, and this thing closed on me right now, they're old, right? They're not modern. As they
That
say.
is not the size and shape of and believe me, we have bricks on our house. That's not the size and shape of the bricks, or similar shape.
The average
size.
Yeah. So your typical brick used for construction nowadays is 9 inches long, 4.5 inches wide, and 2.25 inches thick. Right? Because it's 9, half of 9, half of 9 is 4.5, half of 4.5 is 2.25. That's your standard brick building size today, right? So I went back and I looked up and I said, okay, so why do I know if that's the size of a brick? When did they make bricks that size? Well, what we would call a modern day brick was actually the size of a modern day brick were actually stipulated in a charter of 1571. So that tells me it's pre-1600, right? Medieval bricks were generally ranged in sizes between 8.5 by 4 by 2 inches. 2 inches seems to be a pretty common thickness.
Yep.
Or 10 by 5 inches. Look familiar? By 2 inches.
That looks 10 by 5 by 2 to me.
Yeah. Or somewhere's in that range. There's all these different sizes you can look up in Google and find and search. But it's definitely bigger than the dimensions of what we would consider to be a modern day brick.
Correct.
So it's old.
It's old. And I think that we'll find that not necessarily, true speaker. Not necessarily, because if they again,
it depends what it's made of. Depends what it's made out of too, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's true. Yep. Those are definitely bigger than today's modern bricks.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. And what did you say was the date on those old ones?
Oh, anywhere's pre-1600.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, could they have been making them for a longer period of time? Could people have brought them there from someplace else? Could they have been used for goodness knows what? But if they're man-made bricks, they're not modern.
Is it fir brick? Fire brick. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah,
it could
be fire bricks.
But what are they doing there? The question is, what are they doing there?
Exactly. Why are they here?
Right?
Why are they in
there? They're pretty thick for a fire brick, but they could have been out of a hearth or a fireplace or something. Yeah, and that could be a hearth stone out of a fireplace, the big one.
Yeah. Yep. And I noticed this underneath it. See this right here?
The gray one. That's the one they tap with the shovel.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is that a rock? Like
he taps it and he says these are bricks, and he taps it, and then you get that metallic sound off the shovel.
Yeah.
So, but when he taps it, he said these are bricks, and then he taps that one.
Yep.
So that tells me there's more than one layer.
Yeah.
But what are they doing? I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. What are they doing?
Off something.
Exactly.
Dig a little deeper to figure that one out.
Yeah. So we'll see this in next week's show. We'll get an idea of what that's all about. But yeah, bricks of all things. So
Rick's bricks.
yeah, and they showed Gary. He was over in that not very deep section of Lot 5, where Moya found the bead in that what Laird was calling the yard, next to Site 1 or the circular feature, what used to be the circular feature. Gary was over there metal detecting in the preview, and you hear him find something, and he's like, "That's non-ferrous," and we're assuming that they took that to the lab, and that's what we're looking at here. Now, I tried my best to look at the periodic table and try to figure out what, because you zoom in on this picture and you lose all, it gets too blurry. I can't see what that says
No.
right here or right here. Don't know. But we were looking at the periodic table over here on the side, looking at the colors, trying to figure out, don't know. I don't know. We'll see what it is. It could, yeah, AG, I'm hoping for.
Yeah, it'll take us this time next week to figure it out. So you might as well wait for the show.
It's Gary's blood pressure. Yeah, when he finds a woohoo. But yeah, so we'll find out what that is. Yeah, I haven't seen the gold dance yet. No, Renee, we haven't seen the gold dance yet for sure. Says AG silver. I don't know. Is that what it? I don't know.
Could
Maybe.
be.
I can't. It does kind of look like an AG, but it's hard. It's just too blurry. I can't tell. Like I said, we were trying to look at the color coding over here, matching it up. It was just too hard to figure out. So we'll find out next week. It could be nothing, and it might not even be what Gary had detected on Lot 5.
Mm-hmm.
We make that assumption because that's the way they put the commercial.
You look at the bottom of the screen, you're seeing the Spanish scissors and things like
yeah,
that.
There's a Spanish scissors from that were found by Dan Blankenship. So why do they have those down here in the bottom? Is that related in metal composition?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Don't know. We'll find out. Brick oven pizza. Now I'm hungry. Why did you have to? Okay. The last thing that I thought was really, really cool that they showed in the preview for next week was this right here. And we know that they were just drilling into D.25-6.75, and we know that they missed it because they hit the backfill from probably T1 Caisson when they got down to 159 feet. But while they were drilling this one, Mike Telford said, void. There's dropping. There's a void. Or I think Alex asked him, is it a void? And he said, yes. So wherever it is that they are drilling, whatever borehole this is, they found a void.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was saying right off the bat, everybody, Craig and everybody's jumping in and go, that could be the money pit. That could be the money pit. That could be the vault. So I'm really excited to see what this is because it's in that area and it's going to be very important, I think. Yeah, AG is silver. Yep. And AU is gold. Yes. So I can't wait to see what this is. Guptill's CAD layer in the images he showed of the permits was named 2024 E.25-7.75. So obviously they drilled that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me go back and look at that. Hang on, bear with me a second here because I want to go look now. You got me thinking. I want to bring up the picture with the. Where is it? I know I've got it here. Oh, here it is. Okay, so there we go. All right, so that would be where? So E.25. So E.25. E.25, and then 7.75, which would be right about here, somewhere in here. So 775 would be here, and I'm sorry, wrong hole, wrong one. No, it'd be up one. No, it would. No, it's D, so it would be right about in here. Yeah, so that would be right on the edge of the head and shaft. Yep. So right about in there.
they're closing in on it, whatever it is.
Yeah. And they found a void. Now that's when. Remember when I was asking before? Wouldn't they put the chapel found that what he's called the Chappell Vault? When they put in the chapel shaft, did they put it over top of the chapel vault? Don't know. But you see what's inside of. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. I hate to keep doing that on mic, but look what's inside of the chapel shaft. H8.
Yep.
And H8 had a void at the bottom of it that may have been filled in by backfill, but it had a void in it.
Yep.
And now they're up here. They're trying to find the chapel vault. I think they're very close. It could be very close.
It's a question where they're going to drop those caissons now. They're just trying to. We know they're going to drop them. It's just a question. They're trying to get a better sense of where they want to drop it.
Yep. I think I think the one I think that is going. They're going to put one. I think it was right in this area here. Is where, and I think honestly, folks, I think the one that left in the ground, and I said this last week, I think it's somewhere in that vicinity,
That
right
range there. Yeah, I think so.
The one that got left in the ground. And so we go back to that question: why did they leave it in the ground? I forgot. Somebody had mentioned, and if you're in the chat here tonight, please bring that back up because I forgot, and I was talking about this last night in Discord with the gang. But I had two reasons why a caisson would get left in the ground. One was because something happened, something catastrophic happened, a collapse, something terrible, so a breakdown, something happened that they figured they could not get it remedied this season. So they waited till figure out what they're going to make a plan for next year, or they found something very significant and they didn't want to lose it or do a backfill because they have to backfill, take the caisson out. So they left the caisson there because they found something very significant, very important, which I'm hoping that's the case. And they left it there. Ground stability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So somebody had brought up a third reason, and to block off the water source. That might have been it. To block off the water so it wouldn't, maybe they could pump it out or something, put a diver down. But somebody had mentioned something last, I don't know, the last week or two, and I can't remember what that was. There's a good third reason that they would have left a caisson in there that I hadn't thought of. But that's where I think it is. I think it's in this area right here where that one was left. So did they find the Chappell Vault? And is the Chappell Vault the money pit? Don't know yet. I sure hope so. So,
well, we've got about 17 more episodes to find out. So
yeah, we only have 17 more to figure it out. And you know that one where they left it in the ground is going to be the very last one.
Oh, that's going to be the season closer. Well, no, I shouldn't say that because I mean they took that out of their. They were off the island in September, weren't they? Early September.
It was right around the end of September, first part of October. They
still had
everything left the money.
They still had plenty of work left there to do.
Yeah, everything left the money pit except for that caisson.
Yeah, AG is silver, AU is gold. Yeah.
Yeah. So what does that mean? I don't know. I just it's important, but we don't know. Yeah, if there are 25 episodes, yeah, they left a bit early. They sure did. So, Tom, final thoughts. What do you think, man?
We're getting closer. As
Yes,
far as you know, as Dr. Spooner says, things are starting to ramp up.
Yeah, ramp. Yeah. They were calling that corduroy road in the swamp. They were calling it a ramp or something.
Well, if it's on a slope, it's a ramp.
Yeah,
goes down to the shore, it's a ramp. Call it what you want. You call it a road or a ramp. Ramp sounds nicer, but
yeah, it does.
You can call it whatever you want. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing.
Do they leave them? Normally, they do not leave them in the ground, Renee. They pull them out.
C1, they backfill.
Yeah. C1 caisson was the only one that's been left in the ground all these years since the C1 was put in, and it's because there's an open void at the bottom of it. We've seen a camera down there. We saw what looked like wrought iron down there in some sort of like a cable
Mhm.
or something. There was some material down there in laying on the bottom. There was some very, very, I'm going to have to revisit that. I'm going to have to bring that up and do a little short video on that. But generally they backfill, and as they backfill, they pull the caissons out.
Yeah.
And that's where you get that rock and sand mix, the small rock and sand mix that H8 was pulled. I'm pretty certain that H8 was pulled,
Yeah.
but H8 did have a void at the bottom of it, but I don't think H8 is still in the ground. I wish it was, because that's where they found the bones. The two different bones, Middle Eastern and European bones, very old. So I wish they would have left H8 in there, but they did not. But they found those bones in the wash table when they were doing the fire hose wash table that Jack was doing.
Jack with the fire hose, yeah.
Yeah, Jack with the fire hose, blowing all those little pieces of parchment off the table.
Delicate work. Good work, Jack.
Oh, that made us so
God knows what he blasted away.
Blast all that stuff away. You're blasting away all the fragments.
Inch and a half fire hose. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Inch and a half fire hose blasting away. Anyway, we digress. But anyway, there you go. That's it for tonight, folks.
That's all we got.
This particular episode. We're going to hit episode number 9. Next week, we've got, for those of you who give a darn about Bigfoot, Expedition Bigfoot starts back up on the 22nd. And so I think what we're going to do, I was talking to Mike Owen and Shannon DeSalvo, Ewald, and we are going to, I think both of them are going to join me next week. We're going to do the first episode, I believe. Hopefully it has some good content in it. That'll be on Thursday night, not tomorrow, next week on Thursday night. So we're going to do, it looks like I'm going to have 4 podcasts to do, or 3 podcasts to do next week. Wednesday night for episode number 9, Curse of Oak Island. Thursday night will be the first episode of Expedition Bigfoot that will be shown on Wednesday night. And then on Friday night, and I got to confirm this with, I'm at a complete loss of her name all of a sudden. The horse lady, she goes by, it's all about Skinwalker Ranch and Bigfoot. She's got some stuff on there. Why am I at a complete loss for her name all of a sudden? Miriam, thank you.
Miriam, yeah.
Miriam has asked me to join her on a Facebook Live on her Facebook channel. So we're going to do that on, I believe that's going to be on Friday night. So we got 3. Going to be a busy week for me, getting through all of that. So we hope you guys will join us for all of those. If you're into Bigfoot, I think we've got, it's a really cool show, Expedition Bigfoot. But we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Tom has nothing. He don't want nothing to do with Bigfoot. So
Bigfoot's very interesting. I watch it and I follow it. Oak Island's
what happened there?
No idea. I kicked out. Here we are. I'm back.
Oh, we're back now. All
last time I say anything about Bigfoot. Oof.
Bigfoot shoes to fill. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what we got going on for next week. And we hope there's no show tomorrow night, but we hope you guys will join us. And for all of that, and we'll catch you next time right here on the J Free 906 podcast. Good night, everybody.
Night. Thanks, Dan.
Yep. Thank you, Jan.